for Everton in the second half. It took extra time to find a team to lift the trophy. Ultimately, it was Georgia Stanway who finally provided the dagger in extra time, finishing off a beautifully weighted pass from Jess Park to put City in the lead 2-1. And they ended up finding a third, one final goal as the final action of the game. Stanway came up big again and was able to feed Janine Becky, who was completely unmarked on the left side. She had plenty of time to put it on her right foot and find the corner past Everton goalkeeper Sandy McIver. And listen, if you didn't actually get a chance to watch this game, that 3-1 scoreline does not do this game real justice. Everton certainly missed the presence of Haley Rosso, who had to come off during the second half, and Govan, who didn't make it into extra time. But we have to talk about Sandy McIver, who had some truly tremendous saves to keep the Toffees in this match until almost the end. She had a brilliant reaction save in the second half and then a leaping save right at the end of the first period of extra time. All right, so we're back to WSL action this upcoming weekend with some great matchups to come. Manchester United versus Arsenal for one, and Everton gets a chance to bounce back in the league against Chelsea, a team that they defeated on their way to the FA Cup final. The NWSL Expansion Draft is almost upon us, and we have the full rules of how this thing is actually going to work finally. First, the Expansion Draft will be live streamed by the NWSL on November 12th, so make sure that you are near a computer or your app of choice at 7 p.m. Eastern. You can tune in to see what Louisville does on Twitch. All right, here are the basics of the draft. Racing Louisville FC can select up to 18 players from the 9 other NWSL teams and a maximum of 2 U.S. allocated players. These teams can protect up to 11 players total, including a total of 2 U.S. allocated players on their individual rosters. And yes, teams will have to decide if they want to protect players that they hold the rights to. So that includes, for example, Rose Lavelle, Sam Mewis, Kristen Press, Tobin Heath, who are all playing in England right now, but whose rights are still held by NWSL teams. All right, here's the big twist. Allocation money is at play in the expansion draft for the first time. So if Racing Louisville FC decides to skip picking any US allocated player during this draft, they'll actually walk away with an allocation money grant of $150,000. If they pick one, they get $75,000. If they go and pick their maximum of 2, then they don't take home any money. And in another new rule, these allocation money grants can be applied to the #1 college draft pick in the 2021 NWSL college draft. All right, so these rules are going to make it harder to game out mock drafts for what's actually going to happen, but we will get the lists of protected and unprotected players from the teams this week to help you figure out what you would do if you were Racing Louisville FC. So let's talk about Louisville's options for this expansion draft, even if we don't actually know who's up for grabs yet. Allocation money is definitely still the big thing to watch for. Now, I don't have any inside information here, but if Louisville feels confident about Stanford's Katarina Macario entering the draft for next year, that to me is a play that they can't miss out on. The big question is, aim for the full $150,000 in allocation grant money or split the difference and pick up one unprotected US allocated player and still walk away with $75,000. Now this depends who's actually left unprotected by the teams, of course. Now, if I'm the Orlando Pride with Alex Morgan, Emily Sonnet, Ashlyn Harris, and Allie Krieger, I'm going to protect Morgan and Sonnet and then essentially dare Louisville to split up Krieger and Harris by picking one of them. I don't think it's going to end well, right? All right, so the team to really watch out for in my book is Portland Thorns FC. They have 5 US allocated players that they need to protect, but they can only protect 2, of course. They also have the strongest goalkeeping pool in the league. So AD Franch might be up for grabs here for Louisville, and I think she is certainly a candidate that you could justify giving up that full $150,000, but still walking away with $75,000 and Franch on your roster. Louisville has been one of the teams to benefit the most from both the Challenge Cup, but especially the Fall Series, because the league's depth has been on display. It's making it a lot easier to scout and find the gems of the later rounds, especially underrated talents that you can really build around on your roster, right? Louisville does have 2 players though already that they know that they can build around thanks to a trade with the Chicago Red Stars. The Red Stars are now protected from the expansion draft, and Louisville knows what their attack is going to look like to some extent thanks to having midfielder Yuki Nagasato and forward Savannah McCaskill. But we're going to find out all of the rest of their plans, maybe, on November 12th with the NWSL Expansion Draft. It feels like Lyon only just lifted the trophy again in Champions League, but the new season is actually already upon us, again with the first qualifying round underway on November 3rd and 4th. Now, the teams you might be expecting to see in Champions League, the Lyon, Barcelona, Wolfsburg, Man City, all of these top teams, right? They all have byes until the round of 32. It's actually the top 2 teams from the 10 highest ranked countries all get to sit out the earliest games, so that includes France, Germany, England, Sweden, Spain, and a bunch of others. 22 teams have actually already guaranteed their spots in the round of 32, and all of the remaining teams have to battle it out for 10 remaining spots in the first 2 qualifying rounds. So let's lay out the dates here. We're in the first qualifying round right now. With those results, the draw for the second qualifying round will happen on November 6th. The second qualifying round will happen on November 18th and 19th. Once we learn the 10 teams who will advance to the round of 32, that draw is on November 24th. Then it's on to the bigger games. The round of 32 includes 2 legs across 2 weekends in December, the 8th and 9th, and then the 15th and 16th. The winners find out who they face in the round of 16 draw on December 18th. Then there's a long break in the tournament until those round of 16 games actually happen in March. Again, across 2 legs on March 3rd and 4th, and then the 10th and 11th. The final draw of the tournament to determine the quarterfinals and the semifinals will be on March 12th, and then the 2 legs of the quarterfinals are on for the end of that month on March 23rd and 24th, and then March 31st and April 1st. Then the semifinal legs are set for April 24th and 25th, and then the 1st and 2nd of May. And then finally, we have reached the final in Gothenburg. It is set for May 16th. All right, will someone finally figure out how to topple the Lyon dynasty by May? To be determined, of course, but Lyon are very, very used to lifting trophies. A perfect example, let's bring you back to their victory in 2019 at the Women's International Champions Cup in North Carolina in this WICC memory.
0-0 as we entered the second half, and what a magnificent way to change it. 56 minutes, Jennifer Marazan with the earliest winning goal of the tournament.
Yeah, and I think what's really important there, when you're on the edge of your box, you can't take the extra touches, and she didn't need it. What a finish.
Absolutely tremendous from the Germany international. Another one to add to the collection.
That's it for the fixture this week. Thanks for joining me. As always, make sure that you follow at ICC Women on Twitter and Instagram for all the latest, and you can like International Champions Cup on Facebook so you don't miss anything there too. And as always, you can find me at It's Meg Linehan. Thank you for watching.